We need to have a very honest and very difficult conversation today. The 25-26 season has been a brutal reality check for Real Madrid. The world watched Xabi Alonso's highly anticipated tenure end prematurely by January. Then the world saw Alvaro Arbeloa step into the managerial hot seat to try and save Real Madrid's campaign. But the results speak for themselves. Dumped out of the Champions League after a humbling 6-4 aggregate defeat to Vincent Kompany's Bayern Munich and falling critically short in La Liga. A season without silverware at the Santiago Bernabeu is not acceptable, especially if it's 2 seasons back-to-back. But crisis breeds opportunity. The Real Madrid hierarchy is already drawing up the blueprints for the future and for a massive summer overhaul. Today, we are looking at some hard data, some expiring contracts, and trying to figure who stays and who goes for Real Madrid this summer. There's a massive list of players who need to be shown the exit door to free up wages and squad space, but we also look at the untouchable core that Arbeloa or the future manager must build around. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most pressing issue, the defense. The backline is aging, injury prone, and bleeding the wage bill dry. There are 3 massive names whose contracts expire on June 30, 2026, and the harsh truth is that the club needs to be ruthless with them. First up, David Alaba. Look, nobody is doubting what Alaba has done for this club. But since his devastating ACL injury in August 2025, his body has continuously let him down. He is 33 years old, his market value has plummeted to around 3.5 million euros, and he has spent more time on the treatment table than on the pitch. Real Madrid's policy with players over 30 is strict. Given his high wages and physical decline, it is essentially confirmed by multiple outlets that Alaba will not be offered an extension. He will leave as a free agent this June. Next up, Antonio Rudiger. This one will probably hurt a bit more for Madrid fans. Rash and reckless, Rudiger was the undisputed heart of the Real Madrid defense for 3 years. But the reality of the 25-26 campaign is that he has only managed 13 La Liga appearances due to persistent muscular injuries. At 33 years old, extending him is a massive financial risk. With Real Madrid actively targeting Liverpool's Ibrahima Konate and other defenders on a free transfer to pair with Eder Militao, and also last summer's signing Dean Huijsen, Rudiger's time at the Bernabeu seems to be naturally expiring. And finally, the captain, El Capitan, Dani Carvajal. Carvajal is almost 35, he is the club legend through and through. But the club is already preparing for his departure, and it showed it by bringing in Trent Alexander-Arnold last summer. Carvajal has struggled to stay fit for a full 90 minutes this season, and while there is a slim chance that Florentino Perez offers him a heavily reduced 1-year extension just based off his legacy, like how he did for Modric as well, purely from a sporting perspective, the transition needs to happen now. He could stay at the club, but I think it is almost clear that he is not a starter anymore, and his fitness and injury is not letting him be anyways. So Real Madrid cannot afford to hold on to aging fullbacks in modern football. Moving on from these legends, we have the players who are simply taking up valuable squad registration spots. These are the players who need to be sold to generate pure profit. First, Dani Ceballos. We've been having the Dani Ceballos will leave this summer conversation for what feels like half a decade. Now 29 years old, Ceballos has reportedly asked to leave in the last 2 consecutive summers. He wants regular playing time, and a return to Real Betis is heavily rumored. He provides decent depth, but with the midfield already being so stacked, there is zero reason to keep a disgruntled player who only sees the pitch during domestic cup rotations. Fran Garcia or Ferland Mendy. The left-back situation is a mess. Fran Garcia is under contract until 2027, but he has completely lost his spot. With Alvaro Carreras brought back from Benfica last summer and now he is dominating the flank, Fran Garcia is surplus to requirements. Then you have Ferland Mendy. According to recent reports, Mendy was officially transfer listed by the club following yet another muscle injury during the Champions League tie against Manchester City earlier this year. Mendy is brilliantly defensive when fit, But the key phrase is when fit. He's unreliable, and Real Madrid cannot mount a 60-game championship winning campaign relying on a left back that's made of glass. Cash in now while he still has market value. And up next is Raul Asensio. This is a developing story that highlights the tension and Raul Asensio's attitude in the dressing room. The 23-year-old centre-back signed a deal until 2031 and looked like a great academy product. But recent reports from The Athletic reveal a massive fight, a falling out between Asensio and Arbeloa. Asensio was mysteriously omitted from the squad against Munich, supposedly due to illness, despite training normally. Arbeloa froze him out of the matchday squad for several games until he apologized. If Arbeloa is backed as the manager for the next season, I think Asensio is highly likely to be sold or loaned out to keep the dressing room harmony intact. Now, we get to the rumor that has sent shockwaves through the Spanish press, but is also very expected. According to top journalists, Eduardo Camavinga is no longer considered non-transferable. Yeah, the 23-year-old French international, who we all thought was part of the untouchable core, could be available for around £50 million this summer. Liverpool and Arsenal are reportedly interested in getting his services. Why would Real Madrid sell Camavinga? First of all, he's very reckless, and he's also not really reached the potential that was thought of him when he signed for Real Madrid from Stade Rennais many years ago. They thought he was going to be an undisputed starter in a few years and he's going to develop and he's going to reach his potential. But that never happened. Instead, he is now relegated as a substitute, but even in substitute appearances, he's making reckless choices, reckless decisions that do not guarantee a position for him in the starting lineup. With Jude Bellingham and Fede Valverde cementing the advanced roles in midfield and Aurelien Tchouameni anchoring the pivot, Camavinga has often been the odd man out and has frequently been shoved into the left-back role where his immense midfield talents are wasted. And also Los Blancos are heavily linked with the sensational move for Ballon d'Or winner Rodri, who has reportedly told Man City he will not extend his contract beyond 2027. So in case Madrid wants to fund a mega move for Rodri, selling Camavinga to a Premier League team is probably the exact kind of business move that Florentino Perez would look for. Tactically, it might make sense. I think Camavinga doesn't have a place in the Real Madrid squad anymore, and it's going to be interesting to see whether he stays or goes. But what about the players who must stay? So we are clearing out Alaba, Rudiger, Carvajal, Mendy, Garcia, Ceballos, and potentially Camavinga. Who is left then? I mean, there is that untouchable trio, first of all, which is Vinícius Jr, Kylian Mbappé, and Jude Bellingham, the Galacticos. Despite the struggles this season, the statistical output of Mbappé and Vinícius Jr to some extent is terrifying. Mbappé has consistently bailed the team out with hat-tricks and penalties in La Liga. They're not going anywhere. Vinícius Jr, I don't know, because the fans are very disappointed with his performances and his attitude in the team. So I'm not saying Vinícius is untouchable. So is Rodrigo as well. Vinícius and Rodrigo are players I think there might be some sort of discussions about their continuity at the club. There could be chance that they leave come summer. But if I have to say, the Galactico trio of Mbappe, Bellingham and Jr is probably secure for now, at least for this season. But if Perez is really thinking of some harsh decisions, he's trying to put the axe on someone's head, I think Vinícius Jr or one of Vinícius or Rodrigo might leave the club. In the midfield, Federico Valverde remains the engine of the club. He is the future captain and the non-negotiable heartbeat of the team. He simply cannot leave Real Madrid. And also, the youth revolution that must be trusted next season. Whoever the manager is, whether it's Arbeloa, whether it's Klopp, whether it's Deschamps, whether it's Lionel Scaloni, someone you must absolutely trust next season is Arda Güler. He has shown flashes of absolute brilliance. He has proven that he deserves to be a starter, not just a bench option. Also, Endrick will be returning from his loan spell at Lyon. The Brazilian wonderkid was frustrated on the bench last year and he went to Ligue 1 to get heavy minutes and is returning to Valdebebas as a much more mature, battle-tested forward. And he needs to be integrated immediately and be treated as a priority. At the back, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Dean Huijsen are the new foundation alongside Eder Militao, of course. Trent provides an attacking output from the right flank that no one has seen in years for Real Madrid. And Huijsen is the ball-playing centre-back of the future if he keeps on performing well and does not succumb to injuries. And then if you even imagine the return of Nico Path from Como via a 7.6 million euros buyback clause, then you have a young, hungry and incredibly dynamic squad ready to take over. So Real Madrid is not a club that will tolerate failure. A trophyless season triggers alarms in the boardroom, and the summer of 2026 is shaping up to be one of the most ruthless transfer windows in the club's history. Fans will have to say goodbye to the legends who have given their blood, sweat and tears for the betterment of the future of the club. So I want to hear from you. Do you agree that it's time for Real Madrid to make tough decisions? Do you agree with the names that I have given in this list in terms of players who should stay and players who should go? Would you sacrifice someone like Eduardo Camavinga if it meant bringing someone like Rodri to the Bernabeu? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll be reading through them. And if you enjoyed this deep dive video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you never miss an update on the greatest football league in the world, La Liga. This is La Liga Week, Forza España. I will see you in the next one. Hasta luego.